Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 15 of GT Masters, the review series for Gran Turismo's reasonably strong selection of GT class and multiple subcategories of GT class race cars. And in this category there are a few models of vehicle which get quite a few different iterations on the game, such as the Nissan GTR, which there are a number of racing versions of, and also this vehicle, which is the Audi R8. Now this version is probably the most notable version of the Audi R8 Coupe that we have featured on the game as a race car. And the reason why I say that is because this is the R8 which you can win in career mode, if I remember correctly. It may have been a license, but I think it was career mode where you win this car. So instantly, it's pretty good value, because it's free. So for it to be a bad car would take quite a lot, considering that it is free of charge. And unlike the seasonal event vehicles, you can win this car at any time that you've started playing the game, which is good to know. Now as it happens, even if you don't win it in the career mode of the game, it's not that expensive anyway. It only costs 400,000 credits, which is pretty good, to say the least. Even if it was a bad race car, that would still be a very low price, especially for a full premium model. And this is a good looking car in terms of quality. The interior and the exterior do look very, very good. Now, as with all of the R8 race cars that are currently on the game, it is based on the V10 version of the Audi R8. Powered by the 5.2 litre engine, this particular version puts out slightly less power than some of the other R8s at 959 horsepower, but certainly still not lacking in power in that regard. It also puts out 638 foot-pounds of torque and weighs in at a pretty modest 1250 kilos. So it is lighter than the LMS and the LMS PlayStation version, and it's equal in pretty much every way to the non-painted R8 LMS, which is the premium model, of course. This version, though, does have that significant advantage of being a free, winnable vehicle, and that alone gives this car an immediate advantage, especially for newer, less experienced players, because it means that you don't have to fork out that 400 grand, but you can still get yourself a potentially very usable car. And it is a usable car. You can use it for multiple career mode events, you can use it online against people in various events, and it's not at all a bad vehicle. It does need to be said, though, that like all of the Audi R8 race cars in this series, the handling can be a little bit tricky. Now, if you set up the diff carefully, have quite a lot of downforce, and have a bit more of a conservative approach to the car's cornering than you would in, say, a GTR, it will serve you well. But it is more inclined towards being tail happy than many of the other GT cars. Not just this version in particular, but the Audi R8 in general is a pretty tail happy car. Now this version is definitely not as bad for handling as the non-premium PlayStation version, which we of course reviewed before, but at the same time it's not the easiest of cars to get a hang of. Now the less power that you have as a beginner, or as at least a less experienced driver, the better it will be. The more easy it will be to use that performance, and the easier it will be to control for you. Now the PP is very high, 689, which is actually the highest of any of the R8 race cars. That's extremely high for a GT class vehicle. So how fast is it, and how competitive is it? Well, for straight line performance it's very good. Top speed is around 260 under its own power, with a raised front end, correct gearing and low downforce, which is very strong for a GT class vehicle, and the acceleration is also very good thanks to that 959 horsepower. The fact that it does weigh around 50 kilos less than some of the other non-premium R8 race cars means that it puts out a pretty respectable 767 horsepower per tonne. And all of that spec and performance, and the fact that it's a premium on top of all that, even for 400 grand if you choose to buy it, is still a very good deal, especially considering that the non-premium version is well over 1.5 million compared to this car's 400 grand, or potentially even nothing if you choose to win it. Now, I didn't use this car a huge amount, to be honest, in career mode, but it's certainly not a bad race car to use. It will serve you well, and I would recommend using it primarily on more open circuits, because this car does have some very particular advantages. And the main advantage, I would say, possibly secondary actually to its value, because the value is amazing, but its second advantage is that top-end performance. It is very quick, top-end. 260 miles per hour or thereabouts is very high for a GT class machine. That's faster than the Lister Storm, it's faster than the BMW M3, the GT by Citroën, the Gillette Vertigo, and many others which you would probably expect to be better. But they're not. This is an extremely quick car. And the fact that you win this particular version is actually the best possible scenario, I would say, because I personally also think it's the best looking version with that blue and yellow livery. Overall, if you are looking for a GT class machine, you don't own one yet perhaps, maybe you haven't been playing the game for very long, definitely try and win this car. Because if you've got the opportunity of having that much performance and power for nothing, why would you want to pass that up? So, it's a pretty good all-round car, and that's it overall for this review. Just be careful of the handling on certain tracks. So I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.